Alright, peace, peace, peace. So, this is going to be session 2, and we're going to be looking at Mercury through Saturn. So, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. So, we're going to start with Mercury. So, Mercury is the planet of one's intellectual abilities. It highlights and signifies how you process information, how you receive and extract information from the world, but also how it is you go about distributing information. You feel what I'm saying? It's ultimately also the planet of communication, but in all words, it's all about logic and rationality, and it can be explained through one word as thoughts. You feel what I'm saying? So it's how you conduct your thoughts. So you have Mercury and Virgo in the 9th house. So Mercury actually rules Virgo. And so with Mercury ruling over Virgo, this does make you a highly intellectual individual. You feel what I'm saying? But Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo. Unlike Gemini, whom just likes thoughts for the sake, likes information for the sake of information, Virgo has a desire to extract and acquire information because of its practical application. You feel what I'm saying? Virgos, they're more practical and rational and logically grounded in their thinking. They are the type who have ability to think in regards of planning, in regards of step by step by step, and they're really, really good in helping those people that may have great ideas but not know exactly how to put those ideas into action. You feel what I'm saying? That's what Virgo is all about. They're all about what is realistic and what is real. And Virgo, in one word, its keyword, I should say, is analyticalism, right? They're very analytical. So positively, they're analytical and they have an ability to break down a problem and suggest solutions. You feel what I'm saying? But negatively, they can be critical, right? They can have great amounts of criticism. Sure, criticism externally towards other people, but the criticism that Virgos have is most impacted, or they are most impacted by it. You feel what I'm saying? They are most impacted by it. And I think I already broke down the criticism energy of Virgo. And it's like, it's important, to understand and be able to look at the bigger picture and realize and see what it is that you have already built and how beautiful it is, rather than looking into the details of it and how ugly it is, because then it's like you're putting fire onto the bigger picture by just focusing on the little picture. You feel what I'm saying? In the sense that you can become disencouraged, dismotivated, you feel what I'm saying, due to a focus on the smaller image, rather, I should say. But yeah, so Virgos, they have a tendency of, even to an extent, being fixated in how functions should be conducted, in the sense that they may sometimes think that the way that they have come to realize and understand is the only way and there is no other way. You feel what I'm saying? And so you have Virgo in the 9th house. So this actually does expand, and it does expand your mind, and you don't have so much of a restricted mind, in the sense that you are open and you are interested in exploring and learning and understanding, like, the philosophies of life. You feel what I'm saying? And just exploring a variety of knowledge and wisdoms in general. You feel what I'm saying? So typically, when the Mercury is in the 9th house, these are individuals who have a scholar-like mind, who enjoy the accumulation of knowledge and wisdom. And so, although Virgo can be more inclined towards an energy of atheism, because they need proof, right? They need tangible proof that this exists and that exists. It's like what you have having Mercury in the 9th house, though. You have this great sense of awareness that there is a bigger picture. This broader understanding and awareness of there being a bigger picture. But the issue can be in, like, your overly criticism, and it's like you have in that see, like, when Mercury goes into Virgo, Mercury goes into the 9th house. Like, the 9th house is a very high house. You feel me? Like, the 10th house is the highest house. And the 9th house is a pretty elevated house. And so these are individuals who have ability to tap in and tune into higher thoughts and perceptions and rationalities. You feel what I'm saying? But the issue here can be in the fact that they may rise so high And because of the rise of such highness in thought, they may fall. And the fall with Virgo is their over criticism and over analyticalismness, in the sense that certain things, like, you're not really, like, you don't really need to dive into them like that and try to rationalize and logicalize and break them down, if what I'm saying. But just understanding them and knowing that they like faith, having faith is of great importance. And of course, with Mercury and Virgo in the ninth house, there is well, no, there really isn't a tendency of blind faith, I want to say, because I feel like Virgo is very analytical to a point, with what I'm saying, where they don't really go blindly into things, even though it is a possibility. Having blind faith is a possibility with Mercury being in the ninth house. And so Virgo, as you may know from the other reading, rules the digestive system, if what I'm saying. And so with Virgo ruling the digestive system, naturally these individuals with Mercury and Virgo have a tremendous ability in decoding and digesting information, if what I'm saying. And so whereas Gemini has a spread out desire to want to tap into a variety of different thoughts, you feel what I'm saying? It's like, and when like different thoughts that are not even connected, like with Virgo, they have this spread out ability as well, but their thoughts are more so connected, if that makes sense. And so Virgos are more so like grounded, you feel me, and they have an ability to sit down and work something and be thorough about their work, you feel what I'm saying. And yeah, they're very, very thorough about their work, and they can have a real disciplined mind, because their minds are very practical, and they don't really entertain or engage things that don't work, or things that are just intangible. They would rather deal with facts and concrete energies, you feel what I'm saying. But then, like I said, like they need to learn the Piscean way also, of learning that within life, because Virgos, they try to plan their whole life out. They can, you feel what I'm saying, and they think that they can, in a sense, build a stairway to heaven. For some reason, I want to use that example, but it's like, it's not so much that you build a stairway to heaven. It's more like you out of your good deeds you grow wings, which will take you to heaven. You feel what I'm saying? Something unpractical like that, because it's Pisces energy. You feel me? And so Virgos, right? They don't realize that life is very liquid-like. You feel what I'm saying? And you don't really completely know when things are gonna go sideways. And so it's more of a energy of understanding that there is an ebb and flow of life that you should learn to flow with, rather than trying to control. You feel me? I feel like Virgos can be very controlling. They can have a strong desire to want to control their experiences and the things that they go through. You feel me? And so, also, let's see where you have Virgo. But ninth house, right? We'll talk about you having the ninth house energy. So with you having like Virgo in the ninth house, though, this makes this hold on. Yeah, so this, like, with the ninth house energy, right? Mercury in the ninth house, this does make you a individual who tremendously enjoys knowledge for the sake of knowledge, you feel me? And you may even possibly have a preachy type vibe, where you enjoy to preach, preach to people and everything like that. And yeah, preach to people and everything like that as well. But yeah, I would say that pretty much concludes, like, you know, the 10th house, not 10th house, the Mercury in Virgo in the ninth house. Alright, now we'll look into your Venus, which is in Libra. So now we're going to be looking into your Venus. Your Venus is in Libra in the 10th house. You feel what I'm saying? So, Venus is the planet of love, it is the planet of romance, the planet of relationships in general, It does deal with platonic relationships as well, for sure, but it's more inclined towards experiences dealing with personal love, experiences dealing with affection, and so on and so forth and so forth and so on. You feel what I'm saying? And so, you have your Venus in Libra. You feel what I'm saying? I'm pulling up your chart right now, just so that I have it in front of me. But you have your Venus in Libra, and with your Venus being in Libra, Libra is actually at home. In Libra is actually at home in the sign. Hold on, I'm just looking at some things. Let me look at some things real quick before I get. Okay, yeah, I just had to check my facts, because I was thinking that your Venus was most exalted, and indeed it is. I mean, most prominent, and indeed it is. But you have your Sun in the 10th house, Venus in the 10th house, and Jupiter in the 10th house also, which is all interesting, right? So that's what Venus is. It's like the planet of beauty. And so Libra, when Venus goes into Libra, Venus is actually at home because Venus rules over the sign Libra. And so what this means is that these individuals, like, the Librian energy is overly emphasized. Libra is a sign that deals with friendships. It deals with, it's a sign of marriage, you feel what I'm saying? And so typically people who have Venus in Libra, they're more inclined towards the marriage life, you feel what I'm saying, and getting into marriage. But like, also you have your Sun. I hope that didn't sound weird. Never mind. Anyways, also you have your Sun in the 10th house as well, you feel what I'm saying? And so with your Sun being in the 10th house, it's an indication of being some sort of public figure or recognized publicly. And so with Venus also being in the 10th house, it's an energy of like that which the public greatly receives you for. It does deal with like your beauty, but also not only that, but like there may be a great affection and just loving, gracious energies that you may receive from the public, because see, the 10th house is a house that deals with like one's status, if what I'm saying. With Venus being in your 10th house, it's an indication that one of the things associated with your status do deal with your beauty, if what I'm saying. But back to Libra though. So yeah, that's what Libra is, the sign of marriage, you know what I'm saying. These individuals typically are highly in of themselves, compassionate and kind, and they have a great desire for like peace and harmony and balance when it comes to their social affairs, and there can be an issue here because sometimes they may be so overly compromising to a fault rather, I should say, where it's like they don't allow themselves to express because they're so involved and engaged in making sure that everyone is okay and everyone's at peace. It's kind of like the energy of filling up everyone's cup to an extent where it's like their cup is empty, what I'm saying, and they their cup becomes empty. In other terms, also, due to their over excessive kindness, people may not have the opportunity to truly get to know the true them, you feel what I'm saying. And it's like with this placement, it's just that energy of being overly into people pleasing, and so what needs balancing here is balancing between compromising and being kind and asserting oneself, you feel feel what I'm saying? Asserting oneself, asserting one's beliefs, and being an individual and as well, you feel what I'm saying? And not just being a people person, but staying true to one's values and integrity, you feel what I'm saying? And ultimately, the sign Libra, what it truly wants overall is harmony and balance. And like true harmony and balance comes about when there is when there is an individual who has integrities, values, and principles that they don't sway from, that they're willing to uphold. You feel me? It's much more respectable that way. Now, with Venus in Libra, typically people who have their Venus in Libra, they have natural beauty. You feel me? They're really beautiful, which you definitely are. Yeah, you feel me? But yeah, so they're definitely beautiful because like Venus rules over the sign Libra, and Venus is ultimately the planet of beauty. You feel what I'm saying? And so with the Libra energy, Libra, the opposite sign to Libra is Aries, right? Aries is all about assertion and like, yeah, assertion. It likes to assert. But it's like Libra doesn't really assert, and even in a romantic setting, when they have and so it may be altered with your with your Venus being in the 10th house, because the 10th house is an ambitious house, you feel me, kind of going out and getting what you want type energy. But typically with the Libra energy in general, it's like kind of like the understanding that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Like when attracted to an individual, there is a possibility of you beautifying yourself and waiting and expecting them to come to you rather than you going on to them. You feel what I'm saying? And also it's like Libra, it's a sign that deals with dualities, right? Especially the duality between the feminine and the masculine. And so this indicates that you have both feminine and masculine energies in tune with in tune, intact. That was the term I was trying to look for. Intact within you, and according to the situation, the time, the setting, you can be feminine when needed, or you can be masculine when needed. You feel what I'm saying? These individuals also love recognition, right? They love to be publicly recognized, and they can attract great like fortune and opportunities publicly. You feel me? And they can even be great salespeople, especially if they are focused on selling things dealing with like Venetian energy. So maybe beauty products, or like cosmology, or like even entertainment, artistic energy. Like a lot of celebrities a lot of celebrities have Venus in the 10th house, because Venus is the arts, it is the music, the paintings, you feel what I'm saying, all of that. It's just creative energy. And the 10th house, like I keep repetitively saying, is the house of the stage, you feel what I'm saying. So they may be recognized and acknowledged for their aesthetics or their beauty or their musical ability, whatever it is. That is definitely a possibility. And so, when Venus goes into the 10th house, there can also be a like, well, let me put it like this also. There is definitely a seriousness when approaching relationships, you feel me? And a willingness and a desire to want to commit to a relationship, you feel what I'm saying? But then at the same time, with the Venus in Libra, there can be this energy of like a fear of wanting to be alone. And so then sometimes committing to a relationship and not letting it go even when the time has expired, and it's really also because they don't like confrontation and they don't like to cause problems, and they may not like being disliked, so sometimes they may hold on to something even when it expires and it's time for them to let it go. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's Venus in Libra in the 10th house, right? And so there can be like a energy of like the love of power versus the power of love here, a variation between that. You feel me? Like sometimes with the 10th house energy, people may go into love affairs not for love itself, but maybe for like status or something like that. But then it's like with the Libra energy, that can be like subliminate us. Fuck, like that. I can't that word is not coming to me, but it's like subliminated. Fuck, it's not coming to me, so I'm not even gonna try to say it. It can be diminished, another word I can use, you feel me? Diminished, and rather they are lovers, you feel what I'm saying? But yeah, so that's like the Venus in the 10th house in Libra. Alright, now let's look into your Mars. Okay, so now we're gonna look into your Mars, which is in Gemini, in the 8th house. So your Mars is in Gemini. This signifies great mental energy and mental aggression also. You feel what I'm saying? So Mars is the planet that deals with aggression. It's the planet of initiation and execution. You feel what I'm saying? It highlights and signifies your primary channels of overcoming strife. You feel what I'm saying? So within the sign Gemini, first and foremost, there is a great mental ability present here. You feel what I'm saying? So when Mars goes into Gemini, it does produce for an individual who is pretty like mentally aggressive, and this can even portray through them being like nasty with the tongue. You feel what I'm saying? Like on the more negative aspects, it can portray that way. But ultimately, these are individuals who enjoy great mental stimulation. You feel what I'm saying? And Mars is also the planet of sex, you feel me, and like sexuality. And so with Mars being here, right, there is this desire for like this, not even desire, but like for sex to be mental. You feel what I'm saying? They enjoy mental stimulation as much as they enjoy physical stimulation. And it's like you have your Mars in the 8th house. You feel what I'm saying? With your Mars being in the 8th house, it does generate and produce an energy of like great sums of sexual expression, or like just having a vast well of sexual energy that like you most definitely need to learn what to do with, in the sense that, you feel me, with Mars in the 8th house, this is type energy where it's like, you know, and then we also have Mars in Gemini. So like you probably already have looked into and studied many different dimensions of sex, but if you haven't, then that would be of value. And so more so I'm just talking about like the tantric expressions and just consuming as much information about sex and what it is as you possibly can. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm talking more about like the philosophies and understandings of what the act is in general. But with Gemini being here, right, Mars in Gemini, this also demonstrate that there is a possible disbursement of energy. You feel me? Because Gemini is a sign that's like spread thought. You know, it's very spread out. And so there may be a tendency of wanting to do a variety of things, like putting your eggs in more than one basket. Yeah, I guess. Or you feel what I'm saying? Just wanting to do so many different things at once that you may find yourself at the end of it all like being tired and exhausted, rather than having accomplished X, Y, or Z. So it is of great importance to be like focused and directed and concentrated, and not more so. It may not even be that, like, because you do have like Mercury in a good place of focus, and you also have your Sun in the 10th house, which does make you a very ambitious and directed person. But it's like with your Mars in Gemini, it may be an indication that like when you go out and about to like your ambition and your goal, you may find yourself kind of just the way that you move being dispersive. You feel me? Like this dispersing energy. You feel what I'm saying? And so there may be a need to learn to focus energy. You feel me? And focus on doing things at once at a time. And so Gemini is strength is in its versatileness. You know, very versatile, versatility. Man, I don't know if I'm just making up words or for some reason I can't say words today. But you feel what I'm saying? It is very versatile, and so there is an ability to be like have an agility in the things that you do, but its negative expression and quality is in its changeableness. You know, it can be real changeable, and it can be changeable in the sense of like maybe pursuing a goal or an ambition, and in the middle of that pursuit of that goal or ambition, you may want to change the whole trajectory and want to do something else. You feel what I'm saying? And this probably maybe momentarily though, because like, and this may not even completely resonate with you specifically though, because even the Gemini energy, you do have it in the 8th house. And so when Mars is in the 8th house, it does create for this very like focused and perceptive energy of being able to hone in on the things that you have and motivations towards, right? But specifically with the 8th house being in Mars, it can even be an indication of like sex being a great motivator. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's just the 8th house because it's the house of Scorpio. You feel me? And Mars is a planet that deals with your motivations and things like that. But you know, it's not so much of a one night stand or anything like that, because the 8th house, you know, Scorpio needs emotional depth. But it's like with Mars being in the 8th house, one way or another, like sexuality may be something that's of great importance to the health, you feel me, and ensuring that you have means and ways of like recycling your sexual energy, because otherwise it'll most likely just get pent up, and you know, tension and frustrations may arise from just simply it actually being a result of not having properly worked with your sexual energy. Now, there are immense sexual energies that are associated with Mars in the 8th house, to an extent where there may even be like a fear of your own sexuality and a needing to learn how to integrate with it. You feel what I'm saying? And like with you having the 9th house energy, like this fear of sexuality, it may even arise from religious indoctrinations that made you believe that like repression was morality. You feel what I'm saying? Because like that's what you do when you think like sexuality is bad. You like the only thing you can do is repress it. You know, it doesn't go away because it's something that's a part of us. You know, a part of us humans. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, so that's pretty much that energy. So to talk more about Mars and Gemini, you know, this also highlights a like mental warrior. But to be more specific, you know, these are individuals. This further highlights your ability to be like a great spokesperson or a great salesperson, because you can be pretty persistent. You feel me? And like persuading people, or even pretty persistent and consistent and figure things out and extracting knowledge and information, you feel me, from people. Like with Mars being in the 8th house, this definitely makes you a great detective, a natural detective, you feel what I'm saying? And you also have great instinctive abilities in picking up on people's motives. Even if they're hidden, you can still pick it up, you feel what I'm saying? And it can even be like an energy of if you have, right, like let's say sexual partners, having an ability to pick up on when they are not being loyal, or when they're sleeping around, or whatever it is. You know, it's just, but that's really what it is, having that energy and ability. So with the Gemini energy, right, the changeability, so because it's just Mars and Gemini, it's not that deep, it's not that influenced, and especially with you having the Virgo energy, it definitely like grounds and stabilizes Gemini's changeability, but still ensure that when you're in a desire to want to shift and change in the activities you're conducting, to more so change the way you're doing the activity rather than changing the activity as a whole. You feel what I'm saying? So a good example is like, let's say you're studying, right? You're reading a book, and so instead of getting bored and not wanting to read the book, maybe listen to the book. You feel what I'm saying? Or do other things, engage with the book that's different, but it's like, instead of changing the activity, change the way that you do the activity. You feel what I'm saying? With Mars being here. Also, with Mars and Gemini energy, it can even highlight this tendency of like bisexuality, possibly. You feel what I'm saying? But it can possibly also be repressed though. But yeah, like there is a bisexuality energy here with Mars being in Gemini. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, I would say that pretty much concludes that energy with Mars in Gemini. Procrastination is a possibility here, where it's like you may overthink an action before getting into the action, but just be mentally thinking about it, and like, because thoughts are real as well, you may disperse and decrease your energy for practical action because you focus and concentrated on just thinking about it. I hope that makes sense, you feel me? But yeah, that's pretty much it though. Now let's look into your Jupiter. Alright, so now let's talk about your Venus. So, my bad, not your Venus, your Jupiter. So your Jupiter is in Virgo in the 10th house, you feel what I'm saying? So with your Jupiter being in Virgo, right? So let's talk about what Jupiter is. Ultimately, Jupiter is the planet that deals with expansion and how it is that you and of yourself expand in life. You feel what I'm saying? It's also the planet that deals with opportunities, right? So expansion, opportunities, same thing. It's a planet that's more concerned with like religion. You feel me? And so more like faith type energy and the things that you may find yourself putting faith into. So Jupiter in Virgo, so Jupiter naturally rules Pisces and Sagittarius. So it rules Pisces, right? Pisces is the opposite sign to Virgo. So when Jupiter is in Virgo, it's actually in a sense debilitated. It feels more restricted than expansive. You feel what I'm saying? In the sense that, so what is expanded here primarily is their desire to serve, right? And they have a strong desire to want to help and serve others, and it is through their service and helping others through practical means that they in of themselves produce opportunities. But it's like, what Jupiter does is it expands things. And so Virgo's tendency of criticism when it's in Jupiter is expanded. You feel what I'm saying? And so there may be this issue of them having a strong urge and desire to want to help and serve others, but then their tendency and desire for perfectionism may block them from helping others the way they want to, in the sense of them thinking like, I can't help just yet because I'm not where I want to be, or I don't have the necessary tools, or if I help right now it may not be perfect or just the way I want it to be. And so due to their lack of belief and their ability to help, or rather I should say a pursuit towards a perfection in the way that they can help, what happens is they end up doubting themselves and having like anxiety type energies about it, when in reality, they are already ready to assist, and they just have to be able to see that. And also I want to say this, like, you have Jupiter in the 10th house as well, which indicates an energy that's all about like, it's like earlier I was talking about Venus in the 10th house, and I was explaining how public awareness, you feel what I'm saying? It's like the same energy here as well with Jupiter being in the 10th house. Like, these individuals do have a strong ambition and desire to want to be successful and to want to attain a sort of reputation or status in their career lives. You feel what I'm saying? And so Jupiter in Virgo. So Virgo is a sign that deals with work. You feel me? And the 10th house of career. And so with all that being said, there may be a tendency of putting a lot, because Jupiter is the planet of faith, right? There may be a tendency of putting a lot of faith on like the job and having a lot of expectations and grandiose expectations about what the job can do for them. And a lot of the times, because of course Jupiter is a benefic planet, a lot of the times their faith in the job may be justified, but the issue also here can be the fact that they in of themselves have a tendency of wanting to extract the majority of their fulfillment and their joy from their work and from their jobs. You feel what I'm saying? And so the issue here can be the fact that they can be restricted in the places where they receive joy from. You feel what I'm saying? And because they're focused on the primary source of their joy being from their work and their job, it's like when the job, like let's say policies change or the way that the workflow changes and it affects them, then this may be like of detriment to them and even hurtful towards them. And so with that being said, it is of great importance that they understand and learn to expand their channels of joy and fulfillment. You feel what I'm saying? And not only expect like your work to be your source of you feel what I'm saying, your work being the primary source of like joy, but like also expanding it and allowing yourself to tap in and find different sources in which you can extract joy from. But typically though, with Jupiter being in the 10th house in Virgo, also it's an indication of excess. You feel what I'm saying? And yeah, this can be excess in work, overworking, but primarily excess in taking up responsibilities that your title at your job doesn't even ask you to do so. And so thus being that one person maybe that does like 80% of the work, you feel me, and only get paid. Well, with Jupiter being in Virgo in the 10th house, it's an indication that the jobs you attract to you are most likely generous and paying, but it's like you and of yourself may be very generous as well, to an extent where it's like you're doing way more than the job asks of you. And this can be good to a point. It's not good to the point where it's like you may start to feel like you're being taken advantage of, but it's like it just may be that you're being taken advantage of at your work because of how willing and generous you are with the labor you render. You feel what I'm saying? But also with Jupiter and Virgo, you know, it can be an indication of like over criticism upon your coworkers, and just over criticism upon your coworkers, and maybe over criticizing them and feeling like they can do a better job, or you know. But it's like the thing about that is it can always be better, it can always be worse. You feel me? But yeah, there can be an over criticism here too with with that I'll say. And so with Jupiter and Virgo, there may be a displacement in faith, or rather I should say a ability to view the practicality of like not being able to see the practicality of like faith and imagination, you feel what I'm saying, and vision, and rather having a inclination towards just wanting to work what is practical and work in a means where you extract and you take away all that doesn't work and just work with what does work. But it's like the issue here is there can be a discredit in how other people perceive things and how other people utilize imagination and faith to acquire success that, you know, the Jupiter and Virgo may overlook. So there may be a need to like in a sense open up a little bit more, you know. Also with the Jupiter and Virgo energy, they can be a little bit overly protective or armored in a sense when it comes to life and kind of just being overly worrisome and cautious. Like these individuals can even have a tendency and a desire to care about other people's safety and health, right? And Virgo is a sign that's very much inclined towards worrying. And so it may even start as a desire to want to help people with their health, which may go into worrying about their health. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like there is a need to learn how to, in a sense, relax. You feel what I'm saying? And in a sense, relax and like learn to balance the work and play life energy. You feel what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. And so with Jupiter in the 10th house, these individuals are going to be successful or die trying. They have a strong potency in desiring success, and it may even be that they may be naturally blessed and bestowed with reputation, status, or even careers that are dope, that are cool. You feel what I'm saying? That are expansive, rather I should say, for a better word. So also with Jupiter in the 10th house in Virgo, this makes an individual who has a great ability, you feel what I'm saying, to work with people, like manage people in a sense, maybe supervise them, but just in general manage people, you feel what I'm saying. But I think that's pretty much it for Virgo in the 10th house. Alright, now let's look at Saturn. Alright, alas, now let's talk about your Saturn. So you have Saturn in Aquarius in the 3rd house. Alright, so Saturn is the planet that more deals so with your restrictions and limitations which are imposed. You feel what I'm saying? And so Aquarius is a sign. Well, let me explain more about what Saturn is. Simplistically, yeah, that's what it is. Restrictions and limitations. It also deals with like structures, responsibilities, you feel me? And it can also be kind of karmic, simply because it imposes restrictions and limitations upon you. You feel me? But anyways, that's what Saturn is. So you have Saturn in Aquarius. So with you having your Saturn in the sign Aquarius, right? So on one end, this is pretty good because it does enable an individual with a desire to want to work with humanity and help them and serve them, and it also gives an individual somewhat of a rebellion energy towards like authority, and this can even be government, or kind of having a rebellious nature towards like certain laws that are imposed. And so on one end, this can produce a revolutionist, but then on the other end it can just produce like energies of people that can't see why certain restrictions and limitations are of importance. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like you have your moon in Capricorn, and so you're not per se an individual who can understand the importance of responsibility and discipline and having certain restrictions. So that's not per se you. But I feel one thing about this placement that may resonate with you is the fact that, see, Saturn deals with the past, and Aquarius deals with the future. And so with Aquarius dealing the future and Saturn dealing the past, there may be a polarization between the past and the future that you in of yourself may have a tendency of experiencing. You feel what I'm saying? And it's like, it is this energy in which I feel needs attentive towards, because a lot of the times with Saturn, Aquarius, they may because Aquarius is a sign that also deals with uniqueness, and like I said, it deals with future energies and stepping into your originality, you feel me, and your unique expression. And so with Saturn Aquarius, it's an indication that there may be certain past energies and past experiences that you need to deal with and integrate with that are prohibiting you from moving into a new space, a new energy, into like your future. And this can even be certain maybe traumas that took place, you feel what I'm saying? Specifically, Saturn is in Aquarius in the 3rd house. So with it being in the third house, it's an indication of a restriction and limitation, especially when it comes to communicating. You feel what I'm saying? And so yeah, you have Mars in Gemini, which most definitely does give you great mental agility. But with Saturn in Aquarius in the third house, there may be this tendency of kind of questioning your intellect and judging yourself intellectually, and not thinking you are of the part of like of capable of intellectual height, even though that's far from the truth. You feel me? Like with all that Virgo energy, you're definitely a quantum computer. No, you're not a quantum computer, but you're a computer. You feel me? You're definitely a computer. Maybe not a quantum computer. You feel me? But possibly, because Aquarius is very intellectually dignified. You know, it's associated with the highest of intelligence, you know. And so with you having Saturn in Aquarius, it's also an indication of having an ability to get to a space where you mentally have great intellectual ability to structurize your mind. You feel me? But this can even be an indication of having abilities that may be dormant right now, that may be further awoken later, of you having abilities to well, I mean, Virgo is inclined towards this too, but you're having abilities to manage large sums and data of information. You feel what I'm saying? But ultimately, with Saturn in Aquarius, there is, like I said earlier, a trait of humanitarianism, a desire to want to help humanity. You feel what I'm saying? And it may even be restricted, and it may even play out the same way with Jupiter in Virgo, where it's like there's a desire to want to help humanity, but a kind of restriction and limitation imposed on self by doubt of being like you're not able to do it yet. You feel what I'm saying? And so it's like the energies in which you need to work towards developing are for sure your originality and your unique expression, but also your communication. You feel me? With Saturn in the third house, there may be a tendency of not being comfortable with expressing yourself and speaking your thoughts and mind, but kind of restricting yourself and not always saying what it is you want to say, but holding it back because like fear of being judged or fear of not articulating what you want to say properly. And so you would tremendously benefit, you feel what I'm saying, from getting into learning more about communication. And you probably like but like you may already have like natural communicative abilities, but I feel like the sake of getting into communication is sort of just to reinforce the fact that you know how to communicate. You feel what I'm saying? And there's a chance that you may not even need that, because in your chart I do see certain placements, especially the Mars in Gemini, that indicates communicative ability. But then Mars is in Gemini in the third house. You feel what I'm saying? This is something I really talked about earlier. Mars being in the third house in Gemini, Mars being in Gemini in the 8th house can even be an indication of you having ability to communicate with people, but a communication style that's kind of penetrative. You feel me? That is like so deep. You feel what I'm saying? Like for instance, you know, like when I accidentally called you and then you called me back and we exchanged a few words, it was like we said so many things, but it was just a few words, and there was so much love and all this other stuff that came out of just those few words. So that's what I mean. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, with Saturn and Gemini, it can even indicate some sort of a like restriction and limitation when it comes to traveling, especially short-term travels, but it can even be long-term travels. Like Saturn deals with trials and tribulations. It makes things hard. You feel what I'm saying? And yeah, Saturn can also be inclined towards like over expenditure. You feel what I'm saying? So yeah, like that is a possibility as well, of like overexpending on travels. Like I'm not even saying this because like what you told me about you spending $10,000, like, and I'm the type of person who lives in abundance, not scarcity. You feel me? So like that's nothing. I hope that you're making like you know, fucking $100,000 every other month or some shit like that. You feel me? So fuck it. But yeah, you know, like that's also a possibility with Saturn being in the third house. being conscientious and aware of the certain like restrictions imposed in travels, and finding ways to expand it, you feel me? And so maybe this can be like doing thorough looks into travel ventures before getting into it. But also, you know what's crazy about the Saturn in the third house? So the third house, it's the house of Gemini, and Gemini is the sign of the mind, you feel me? And so there can be a telekinetic influence within the environment that can be negative, especially specifically imposed upon self. Like, these individuals can be prone to accidents, you feel me? But accidents not from a place of like a lot of, like, it can be, it doesn't always have to be, but it can be hold on, what I'm trying to say is the accidents are typically caused by the unconscious mind, because there is a desire maybe to want to rest because you've been working too hard, or a desire to like want to avoid someone or something like that. And so then this whole thing happens where it's like accidental, harmful, or something upon you, only so then you can fulfill that desire to want to take a break or to want to rest. You feel what I'm saying? So there can that can be a possibility, and that possibility can be avoided, and rather than just not communicating your needs, learning and finding ways to communicate your needs, so then accidents don't happen, so then your needs are met. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's definitely a possibility. But ultimately, with the third house Gemini, and then also with the Aquarius energy, this does indicate that you have the materials necessary to create a genius mind. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like Saturn doesn't give to you the things it has to offer, but it makes you work for the things you have to offer. You feel what I'm saying? I mean, it has to offer you. So it doesn't give you the things it has to offer you. It makes you work for the things that it has to offer you. And so for you, you would also tremendously benefit from getting into activities that deal with mental training. You feel me? Training your mind, expanding your mind, most definitely. But yeah, you know, I would say that pretty much concludes this session. Session 2 right now. Session 3, we will look deeper into like the aspects, and that is how the different planets are interacting with each other, right? So how Saturn is like possibly being impacted by the Mars planet, you feel me? Or how Jupiter is impacting your sun, and how like Jupiter may even be impacting your Mars, my bad, Jupiter impacting your Mercury. And I think that Mars may be impacting your Venus, you know, but that's what we'll be looking into your next reading. So in this reading, I kind of broke down the placements and what they signify, and then the next reading we'll look at how they are interacting with each other, you know what I'm saying? So we'll go deeper then. But yeah, you know, I hope that you extracted some information from this reading. I look forward to doing session 3 for you, and alright, peace, 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 peace.